Welcome to Spybrary, by spy fans, for spy fans, with Shane Whaley. Shane dives into the mystery and intrigue of spy books and movies, both fact and fiction, delivering reviews and interviews with authors, historians, intelligence experts, and spy fans. He discusses everything from John le Carré, Len Dayton, Ian Fleming, Tom Clancy, Brad Thor, and many more. If you love spy books and movies, keep listening. This podcast is for you. This is Spybrary.
It's a brush pass, quick and simple.
You are listening to Brush Pass on Spybrary. Quick reviews sent in by spy fans for spy fans.
Hi Spybrarians, Andy Onyx here with my brush pass review of Simon Conway's Rage. I discovered Simon Conway via this podcast and the great reception his latest publication, The Stranger, has received. But despite its rave reviews, I chose to begin my journey into Conway's work with his second novel, Rage. The novel's protagonist, Jonah Said, is an army officer of mixed Guyanan and Palestinian heritage and a fluent Arabic speaker. He seemed initially reminiscent of Frederick Forsyth's Mike Martin from the Afghan series. But fear not, Conway steers well clear of the men from a small town in the West Country. And he leads us down another, far less travelled route, one littered with minefields, politics and the debris of war, that of a United Nations observer mission. And although we are occasionally moved back in time for the purpose of backstory, particularly the catalyst of 9/11, the bulk of the novel is set in the days before the 2003 invasion of Iraq. The author places us vividly in the border zone, a biblical landscape bearing all the scars of modern warfare. Not only from Gulf War I, but also the remains of the internecine Iran-Iraq conflict of the mid-80s. Jonah Said finds himself in the ramshackle UN setup as the clock ticks down towards war, and soon encounters a strange community occupying the zone, including a squadron of salvage scavengers waiting to flood in behind the invaders and exploit the carnage, a jumble of ancient sects of various Arab and religious allegiance, and the international peacekeepers to whom he is attached. The UN contingent also includes a troop of malevolent Russian paratroopers at the top of the food chain, who seem to have their own agenda. There is a love interest in the alluring Miranda. Her ties and allegiances to the Iraqi regime and beyond are far less clear than her personal objective, a reunion with her long-lost son. There are also a pair of unusual antagonists. Firstly, an ex-CIA man ingeniously named after a biblical demon, whereabouts unknown since the New Testament, and in his shadow is Malik, a seemingly omnipresent marsh Arab spy come desert Caligula. All these parties are very interested in Jonah, because on his first night in Kuwait, he found himself in a very naughty bar, the Desert Palm, drinking with an even naughtier Norwegian called Odd, who shared information that could make them both rich. Very rich indeed. But Odd is found the morning after in track one of the toilets with his throat slit, and all fingers are pointing at Jonah Said as the prime suspect. But it's the dead man's information about the contraband that all parties are after from Jonah. And what will they do to get it? The flow and wit of the first-person narrative is immediately and favourably comparable to Dayton's Unnamed Spy series. And the prose, among the heat waves, storms and mirages of the desert, has, as remarked by Jason King, a definite hallucinatory quality. Jonah Said isn't a dynamic spearhead character himself, more of an Ambler-esque type, finding himself in the eye of the storm by happenstance. But when it comes on top, his military training kicks in, and he does rise to the occasion in flashpoint situations. Speaking of eyes, better leave it there, major spoiler territory. But onto the book's cover, a head and shoulders of a desert kit squaddy rather than a silhouette figure seems to be aimed more at the militaristic Thor and Clancy market than true spy fans, which is a deception in itself. Simon Conway's Rage is definitely a different flavour though. Arabian spices, vodka and cordite, and maybe a trace of field mushroom in there somewhere. But bon appetit. It is highly recommended. Keep staying safe. Until next time, Onyx out.
Can you pull off a brush pass? Send in your review to shane@spybrary.com.
Thanks for listening to the Spybrary podcast. You don't have to wait for the next episode. Join the conversation happening now at facebook.com/Spybrary and on Twitter @Spybrary.